There are 2 minutes remaining in the official warm-up period. Athletes, if you have finished your warm-up, please make your way to the marshalling area. We do march-in and introduction of our finalists in the men's 10-meter synchro event. Thank you, athletes, coaches, team managers. The warm-up is now over. Athletes, please assemble in the marshalling area for march-in and introductions.
No fun here, right? It's Friday then, it's Saturday, Sunday.
Very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Coming up very shortly is the men's 10-meter synchro event. There are 5 teams represented in this event. They will be performing 6 rounds of dives in front of our panel of 11 judges. 3 judges will be looking at the execution of diver A, 3 judges for the execution of the dive for diver B. The 5 remaining judges will assess the synchronization of the 2 athletes. Judges are spread out on both sides of the pool in order to be in alignment. Those judges in the center of the grouping are the synchronized judges looking at the synchronization of the 2 teams. Coming up very shortly, the athletes will be marched in and introduce them to you. They'll also meet our officials. We will do a countdown video just prior to the start of the event. That's the official FINA countdown video. These events are being broadcast on cbcsports.ca as well as FINA TV. Ladies and gentlemen, we are 3 minutes out from the official march-in and introduction of our athletes. We are moments away from the official start of our competition. This will be a FINA opening video, followed by the march and introduction of our athletes, followed by the introduction of our officials, followed by a official FINA countdown video, and then the first dive. The commercial partnership between Speedo and Diving Canada is one of the longest serving in Canadian sport. We thank Speedo for their continued support of diving excellence in this country and are excited to have them on board as our national team sponsor through to the 2024 Paris Olympic Games. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the athletes competing in the men's 10-meter synchro finals. Please welcome team number 1, Team Canada, Nathan Zambo Murray, Rylan Weeds. Team United States of America, Maxwell Flory, Zachary Cooper. Team Great Britain, Ben Cutmore, Kyle Kotari. Team Brazil, Isaac Sousa, Kewan Pereira. And Team Canada number 2, Benjamin Tessier, Matt Cullen. Ladies and gentlemen, your finalists in the men's 10-meter synchro event. It's always our pleasure to introduce our officials for these events. There are 6 judges looking at the execution and 5 assessing the synchronization. Our referee for this event is Aaron Barrett. Your assistant referee, Carol McPherson. Judge number 1, Ainsley Oliver. Judge number 2, Victoria Tomlinson. Judge number 3, Cam McLean. Judge 4, Steve Power. Judge 5, Stuart Graymore. Judge 6, Donna O'Brien. Judge 7, Barb Bush. Judge number 8, Kim Fain. Judge number 9, Sarah Todd. Judge number 10,
Calgary,
Ugo
Alberta. Great to have
Parisi.
you along as the finals continue on this Saturday with the second of the finals. It's the men's 10-meter synchro. And we're looking forward to an exciting competition with 5 teams competing, 2 representing Canada, others representing the United States, Brazil, and Great Britain. Courtney Hattie alongside, a former Canadian national teamer and member of the Texas A&M program, the NCAA level as well. Well, we got a nice start to the day with the mixed synchronized competition. The Canadian duo of Bryden Hattie and Margot Erlam coming out on top with a good performance. And now a busier field, a deeper field, a lot of experience. And let's take a look at the Canadian teams for starters, with Nathan Zombor-Murray and Ryland Wiens representing one of the two Canadian teams, guys who have Olympic experience, and one of them in the 10-meter synchro, and Nathan Zombor-Murray. So this is a group to watch.
This is very much a group to watch. I'm excited. You're right. They both have Olympic experience. They both have a lot of experience in synchronized off the 10-meter platform, and they're both incredible divers.
The other Canadian team is a little bit different. Strange to refer to those Canadians as the old guys of the Canadians in this competition, but they are compared to the other Canadian group, which is Matt Cullen at 16 and Ben Tessier at just 17 years of age.
I'm very looking forward to watching them dive together. They have similar technique, same dives. I have a feeling they're very good friends, and it will be great to watch their chemistry.
We saw some of the others getting ready to go there, including the Americans out of the University of Miami, Maxwell Flory and Zachary Cooper, ones to watch as well. The 10-meter synchro champs at the U.S. Nationals. Australia represented by Cass Russo and Dominic Bedgood, both of those competitors with all kinds of international experience. And rounding out the field, Ben Cutmore and Kyle Cathari of Great Britain, who are getting set for the Commonwealth Games. So there isn't an easy duo in this mix for anybody. And we'll get it underway with the Canadians, Nathan Zombor-Murray and Ryland Wiens. A couple of compulsory dives to begin for the competitors. There are, again, 5 teams, 6 dives each. In synchro competition, 11 judges. And they get it started with an inward dive. Pike position.
Gorgeous. A beautiful way to start the event. The rip entry where there's 0 splash. Really nice synchronization. And on the bottom, to really help get that rip entry on inwards and fronts, it's called a pike save. So right when they enter the water, they pull their bodies into a pike position to scoop the water down underneath them.
Super clean, super tidy on the finish to get it started for Wiens and Zombor-Murray. And look at those scores, reflective of what Courtney saw as they came down. Very impressive start for the duo. Summer Nationals, a 2nd place finish for Nathan Zombor-Murray, been behind Ryland Wiens. Good friends, good competitors, and a nice start for that Canadian pair. Brings us along to the American combination out of the University of Miami, Maxwell Flory, Zachary Cooper. Cooper recently completing his senior year at Miami, and they begin with the inward dive as well in the pike position.
At University of Miami, Randy Abelman and assistant coach Dario, incredible coaches. They are very lucky. They have one of the best, and so I'm looking forward to seeing what their diving looks like together. Very, very, very beautiful. Inward dive is very fun. You can just float through the air, find where you want to enter, and try and go in as straight as possible.
Interesting you talk about the influence of the coaching staff at the University of Miami, and you can see, I'm sure, as you watch competitors come out of there with some similar traits in their performances.
Yes, well, when you're coached by the same person, you end up having, carry through their techniques, and it works out really well for synchronized pairs.
And there are the numbers for the Americans to get it going in the men's 10-meter synchro final. 2 Canadian teams, an American team representing Brazil and one representing Great Britain, and that's who is up next, the Great Britain duo of Ben Cutmore and Kyle Cathari. This duo finishing 2nd in the 10-meter synchro competition at the recent British Championships behind Maddie Lee and Noah Williams.
Stunning. That is the noise you want to hear.
It's like the water's drawing them in.
It's like the water's drawing them in. They cut right through. And I spoke about the pike save when you do reverse or back, you actually do a tuck save, which means when you hit the water, you pull your knees to your chest, and it has the same effect of sucking the water under.
Satisfied combo of Cutmore and Cathari. Cathari ruptured his Achilles tendon here in Calgary in 2019 and underwent a lengthy rehabilitation. He's actually done both of his Achilles. And so he has really overcome a lot just to be competing here. And you wonder what goes through his mind in coming back to Calgary, a place where he suffered such a serious injury. Obviously, it's not bothering him, at least outwardly.
Well, we did have a chat about it recently, and he said now that he's, you know, ruined both of them, that he's good to go. He can't do it anymore, so
he's been rebuilt.
He's been rebuilt. It was on his forward 4.5 somersault off the 10-meter. He's done it again since he's been here. He's competed it, so I have a lot of faith in him. And to recover like that and come back confident and strong is very impressive.
Yeah, and a good score there to get it started along with his partner, Ben Cutmore. Nice to see. Here's the Brazilian combination of Sousa and Pereira. And they will get things going with the back dive in the pike position.
A little bit heavy on the entry, but not too bad. Still that straight up and down that you want to see going into the water. Back dive is a little bit difficult to control off the 10-meter. There's a lot of aspects to it. You want the high jump. You don't want to be too far away. You don't want to go over. There's a lot to it, and they did it very nicely.
Impressive Olympic experience for Kewan Pereira in Tokyo, as you see the scores come up for the Brazilian combo. Pereira in Tokyo, the first Brazilian to reach an Olympic diving final. Finished 10th in the men's 10-meter. Brings us to the final duo to have an opening dive in this 10-meter synchro competition, Benjamin Tessier and Matt Cullen. Inward dive, pike position, and that's how they draw it up.
That's a really great way to start the event. That's exactly what you want to see. Those are the sounds you want to hear. Very great synchronization. Absolutely no splash on the bottom. We're going to hear some really good scores from there.
Canadian Zombor, Murray, and Wiens leading the way so far, but it looks like they've got some company as Tessier and Cullen turn in a very impressive showing to join them at the top.
Tied for first.
It's very early. There are 6 dives. Early. But we thought this would be one you can't take your eyes off of, and it's begun that way even at the compulsory stage. A couple of Canadians tied at the top, but not much separation. As we move along to round number 2. Sorting through things, the youngsters with their coach. And the grizzled vets of the Canadian group get a chance to go again here with the back dive in the pike position. Rylan Wiens on your right, Nathan Zombor Murray on the left.
There you have it. A second compulsory from Nathan and Rylan. Beautiful work, very synchronized. For the new pair up on platform, we had in the past, Nathan was with Vincent Roindeau, and moving on with Rylan Wiens. Great scores we're hearing over here. I mean, it was well-deserved. Rylan looks happy. Iwa, Nathan high-fiving.
Oh, look at those scores. 8.5 on the low end, 9.5s for Zombor, Murray, and Wiens, who thought they may have to compete together in the synchronized in Tokyo when Vincent Roindeau suffered an injury in training. Fortunately for Vincent, in his last Olympics, he had a chance to carry out his goal and compete. But for a moment, it looked like those two might have to jump in and get used to each other on the international stage at the Olympics.
Well, it's good to know they would have done well if that had been the case. Thankfully, Vincent was okay to compete.
Yeah, great to see him finish off an outstanding career with that Olympic appearance. And
he's taken up golf now.
He's taken up golf and seems to be good at whatever he takes up. Speaking of good, how about these Americans? Maxwell Flory, Zachary Cooper.
second back dive we've seen in this round. A lot of control in that dive. You can see how tight every part of their body is, their arms, their legs, their toes. The tiniest amount of splash, nothing really worth noting, and some excellent scores.
Yeah, very good scores. And you said just the tiniest amount of splash, maybe what separates them from what we saw from the Canadians just before. But boy, we're talking about fine margins at this level, aren't we? Ben Cutmore, Kyle Cathari of Great Britain. Next, they'll do the inward dive in the pike position. A lot of similarity in choice of dives to this compulsory phase. That's to be expected.
That's to be expected, yes. And I often talk about how, especially on springboard, athletes don't always start with a hurdle dive where they're walking to the end of the board. They want something with a little more control, like a back or an inward. When it comes to synchro, I think it has to do with what they're able to compete together with the more difficult dives. So that was a very, very, very beautiful inward dive from the Great Britain team.
Cutmore and Cathari of Great Britain reflecting on the second and final of their compulsory dives. And the numbers tell the story. 99.60 when you break it all down in the end. Impressive. And they're just getting warmed up. 4 more rounds. Yeah, this is going to be interesting. Sosa and Pereira stepping up. They'll do the reverse dive, pike position. Sosa was 20th individually in the 10 meters at Tokyo. Talked about Pereira's 10th place finish in the 10 meters in Japan.
The synchronization in the dive, not the best we've seen. You really want to have at the same time that touch to the toes in your pike, that push out in the come out, and then that reach for the water. So I don't think they're going to get the best scores for the synchronized part of it. A little bit of splash on the bottom, but we're still in the compulsory rounds. It's the next 4 rounds where we really want to bring the fire, bring the heat.
Yeah, we'll look forward to that. The only thing you, I guess, want to be careful about here is a mistake that puts you too far behind when things start to get a little bit more complex. So you saw the scores for the Brazilians. That brings us to the second of the Canadian pairs. Tessier and Cullen with the reverse dive. Pike position.
There you have it. Those boys are 2 for 2 so far. A lot of control on these back and reverse dives. I almost thought for a second Benjamin was going to start to go over a little bit on his stomach. He saved himself and found his control, and they both found the bottom and had that beautiful rip entry.
You wonder about nerves sometimes of the young competitors, and clearly when you can make those adjustments, you've got yourself in the right mindset.
Yes, and practicing enough and competing enough, and then in this environment, you can make those tiny corrections, which ultimately make the whole dive better.
You just default to your training in the moment. So they were dead even after the opening round. They are just slightly separated after a couple, with the Canadians 1 and 2. Interestingly, you can't have 2 spots on the podium here, so the Canadians are, well, as it stands right now, battling it out for top spot. We'll see how things go over the next 4 rounds, but yeah, one of the quirks of this competition, 1 spot on the podium per nation.
Makes it a little bit more exciting.
A little more competition, yeah.
And similar in even the individual, you could only have 2 athletes per country in the final, and that's why, unfortunately, Nathan wasn't able to make that final. Still did a great job.
Yeah, beaten out by Matt Cullen's superb performance yesterday in semifinal action. So here we go now, beyond the compulsories. Inward 3.5. Tuck.
This is a great new partnership, if I may. A tiny, tiny, tiny bit of difference on the takeoff. They come out at the same time in that beautiful pike position come out where they put their chest to their legs, their arms out. They find the water, they see it, they stretch for it, they go under the water, do their pike save, and they receive wonderful scores.
Very, very impressive from the Canadians. Look at that. It just continues with the big scores for the combination of Zsombor, Murray, and Wiens. Zsombor Murray was first at the Canadian trials last year in the 10-meter. And then this time around, Ryland Wiens winning the winter and summer nationals at 10-meter. That's the pedigree of these two competitors when they join forces. Maybe we should expect big things from them as we get along to Flory and Cooper of the United States. Sitting in the 4th spot after a couple of rounds, inward 3.5. Tuck position.
We're going to see a few of these. 3 in a row. 3.2 degree of difficulty. So as you see them hit the water, they both over-rotate. Synchronization was perfect. The dive itself, not so perfect with that over-rotation.
That's why you see that splash as they hit the water, the legs striking down on the surface.
But I must say the synchronization was very, very perfect.
If you're wondering about judging in the synchronized events, there are 11 judges, 3 assigned to each of the divers. And then 5 evaluate the synchronization. So there is an individual as well as a synchronized element to the total score. You saw the numbers come in from 4.5 to 7 for the Americans. And on to Ben Cutmore and Kyle Cathari we go.
We get to really compare the inward 3.5 when we see 3 of them back to
Yeah,
back.
round 3 continues.
Another great dive from Great Britain. Very synchronized, very quick off the tower, quick spins. They know exactly where they are in their dive. It's called spotting. So per flip you spot. They had their 3 spots. They had a beautiful come out, stunning entry.
Really good effort from Cutmore and Cathari of Great Britain. And the numbers, not much variety there. When you're good, you're good. It's from 8 to 9 for the guys from GB. Got themselves currently in the 2nd spot as we work our way through to the 4th of 5 teams in the men's 10-meter synchro. Sousa Pereira of Brazil. And we get into a twisting dive. Back 2.5, 1.5 twists. Pike position.
I find that the twisting dives in synchro are very interesting because sometimes they twist in different directions. So that will also change where they stand on the platform if they want to twist towards each other or away from each other. Here, they did twisting the same direction, a little bit heavy on the bottom. The first twisting dive we've seen in this event.
And Kwan taking it all in. You can tell he's sort of sorting through something there as he looks over to his team leader for a little bit of feedback. Chipping in, Ricardo Moreira. And the score comes along for the Brazilians. Brings us to the final duo of round 3, bringing us to the midway mark of the competition. Tessier and Cullen sitting in 2nd after a couple of rounds.
Forward 3.5 somersault pike position. They have really great technique. Really nice and tall off the platform. Tight pike, tight toes. Just a little bit of an early come out from Benjamin, and that's kind of where that splash came from. He just took the water a tiny bit with his thighs. Still managing to save it pretty nicely, but...
Tessier, an age group champion nationally on all 3 boards in 2019. Cullen, his first senior nationals at 13 years of age. Maybe we shouldn't be talking about these guys as young. They've been around a while.
They feel young to me.
Incredible to think the experience they have at their age. And they sit in the 3rd spot midway through this men's 10-meter synchro.
We're starting to see the scores distance themselves a bit more.
But remember, with Canada only permitted one spot on the podium, those other nations battling to get into the top 3. Back to your leaders. Zombour, Murray, and Wiens. Forward, 4.5. Tuck position. These guys each individually with a history of success on this dive.
Not the best 4.5 we've seen from either Ryland or Nathan. This is an extremely, extremely difficult dive. Trying to fit those 4.5 somersaults in such a small amount of time. Very synchronized on the come out, just a little bit too early.
There's almost an anticipation, I think, in the diving community when these guys come out to do a dive like this one, given the success they've had. We saw Nathan Zombour Murray at the Olympic trials with perfection.
I actually cried.
Yeah.
It was that good.
It was that good. So you almost wonder if there isn't a weight on their shoulders when they come out to do it, because they expect something along those lines.
And on top of those thoughts, they have to think about how difficult and technical that dive truly is.
Yeah.
It's a very high DD, 3.7, one of the highest, if not the highest of the event.
Yeah, it matches the highest, yeah.
Everyone, well, other teams competing that forward 4.5.
And so now we move along to the next up, the American duo. It was 4th after round 3. Reverse 3.5 tuck.
Also a very difficult and technical dive. On reverse 3.5, you want to jump as high as you can, but at the same time, you're still trying to fit in those 3.5 somersaults of rotation. You don't want to be too far away from the platform. You definitely don't want to be too close. There's a lot to think about. You have to think with your whole body.
And there are the scores for the Americans. Florian Cooper, 5.5 all the way to 8. They'll get rid of the high end to the low end and come up with that big number you saw overall, 65.28 for the Americans. Cutmore and Cathari of Great Britain. Back 3.5 tuck position.
That was a very interesting dive, if I may. Not completely synchronized. Kyle spinning a little bit faster than Ben, meaning that their come out of the dive is going to be at separate times. Very difficult to do synchronized back 3.5, reverse 3.5, inward 3.5. Everybody has their own force when it comes to how high they jump, how fast they spin. Really hard to match up with somebody else.
There are the scores, the Great Britain duo in round number 4. And maybe a work in progress on that particular dive for them. Mentioned off the top of this event, nations competing, Canada ×2, USA, Brazil, and Great Britain. We were anticipating an Australian combination as well. They are not competing here, as you can tell. No Russo and Bedgood, but Sosa and Pereira set to go representing Brazil.
We're just experiencing some splash from the Brazilians in this event. It all boils down to really where your hands are located when you're reaching for the water, if the certain areas of your body are tight where they need to be tight. And then once you enter the water, how you're moving your body after that to fix the splash.
So from 5.5 to 7.5 for Sosa and Pereira, as they try to fine-tune a little bit, working their way through this men's 10-meter. On to Canada 2, Bentessier and Matt Cullen, closing out round number 4 with the inward 3.5. tuck position.
For a first synchronized event for these two, they are doing very, very well. Matt Cullen, just the tiniest bit short on the bottom. Barely even noticeable. It was only the splash that made that very clear.
Well, there's a confidence in these guys. They're not going up there like, oh, we're just the new kids on the block, or we're the little guys. They're like, hey, we're here to compete, and we can perform with these elite athletes, and they're showing that confidence is coming through.
They're not boys anymore.
No, don't let the birth certificate fool you. Zombour, Murray, and Weens cruising here with Cutmore and Qatari in second spot. That second Canadian team is in third, but as mentioned, only one spot on the podium per nation. So let's not count out the Americans and Brazilians there working hard to bump things up a little bit. Brings us to round 5 of 6. And your leaders to begin. And it's the reverse 3.5 tuck.
That's exactly what you want to see. That is some world-class synchronization. A very difficult dive to do in general, to do it with a synchronized partner, and then to do it that well.
And these competitors coming from different coaches as well, so interesting that they're able to bring it together that way, but that's the level of their quality, that's the level of their preparation, and look at the level of those scores.
They actually train
Magnificent.
about a 4-hour plane ride away from each other, so for
Hard
them
to imagine.
To come here and put this together is extraordinary.
So a big number there, 89.76 for the leaders from Canada, Nathan Zombour Murray and Ryland Weens. In fourth through 4 rounds, the Americans Flory and Cooper. Back 2.5 twists. Pike position for the University of Miami duo, the American champions.
This is a very, very difficult dive to execute. You don't see it a ton. It's definitely becoming more up and coming. Ryland Weens has just recently learned it. These two did a phenomenal job.
3.6 degree of difficulty, just shy of the most difficult dive in the competition.
To fit 2.5 twists and somersaults is a lot.
And these guys bring in some 8s for their effort. Flory and Cooper sorting through it with their coach.
Dario has come up from University of Miami with them, which is great. It's nice to have the familiar coach with you. It's very helpful, comforting.
Yeah, it makes all the difference. You just continue what you're used to from your day-to-day routine throughout the NCAA season. So on we go to the second-ranked team in the competition through 4 of 6 rounds. Ben Cutmore, Kyle Qatari, back 2.5, twist and a half, pike position.
The bottom entry of that dive, absolutely no splash, very beautiful. You see they twist in separate directions. Just a touch out of synchronization on the come out of that pike. But they both have that beautiful rip entry, which will really help with their score.
Would there be any discussion in training about the direction of the twist? Does that matter to them? Would they want to be on the same page?
It very much matters, but I'm not sure how often somebody would change the direction of their twist. It's a very
it's like being left-handed or right-handed.
Very much. So then it all boils down to, what do we want to twist towards each other or away from each other?
Well, these guys a long way from home, Isaac Sosa and Kawan Pereira. taking part in this competition before making their way on to the World Championship in Hungary. Getting underway a couple of weeks from tomorrow, as a matter of fact, coming up right away. So a unique time for these international divers. It seemed forever that they weren't able to compete in person and compete together, and then all of a sudden you've got a World Championship, you've got a Commonwealth Games for some of these athletes, for others a European Championship too, so quite a summer ahead.
Very busy for the athletes. Some teams are actually going to different countries to prepare for the Commonwealth Games and or the Worlds. Australia staying in Toronto.
That's right.
Before they head to Budapest.
Yeah.
Because much easier than to fly all the way home. There's too much travel, there's too much time change. It's a lot.
It is a lot. So they're going to train in Toronto next week, the Australians, then make their way over to Hungary, back home, as you pointed out, then a couple of weeks and right back on the plane. They'll make their way to Birmingham in England to take part in the Commonwealth Games. That's a lot of miles. And these guys are about to travel 10 meters. Forward 4.5 somersault in the tuck position.
That was just still again with the Brazilians, that splash just not coming together for them in this event, but still competing those extremely difficult dives.
3.7 the degree of difficulty for the forward 4.5 tuck. So that will factor in improving their score. Okay, Juan Pereira turns 20 years of age on the 17th, so he's got a birthday just around the corner. And getting a little guidance there from the team leader, Ricardo Moreira. And now the final divers here in round number 5. Tessier and Cullen representing Canada. Ranked in 3rd after the last round. It's a back 3.5 tuck position. Cullen on the right, Tessier on the left.
Unfortunately, a miss from Matt Cullen on that back 3.5 somersault. Just coming out too early in that dive. Beautiful, beautiful from Benjamin. Difficult to see with Matt splash in the way. This is a great practice for them to be getting into the international scene.
So you see the range and scores there, execution and synchronization. But this is what it's all about at the Grand Prix level, right? Getting out here and competing internationally in these environments, understanding the pressure, getting a chance to work through some things and fine-tuning their dives. And here we are with a round to go. You see the leaderboard.
And we have to keep in mind, too, that they've been here all week. They've been doing their prelims, their semifinals. There's a lot of pressure. It's exhausting. And yet they're still up here and they're competing in the synchronized events. It's some really impressive stuff.
It really is. There's a lot of training going on in and around these competitive parts of the week's program. So there's a heavy load physically and mentally. Your leaders to close it out. Back 2.5, twist 1/2, pike position. Disappeared.
Disappeared. I think we have an incredible new synchro team here in Canada.
Sending a message on the international stage. The Canadian combo of Nathan Zombor-Murray and Rylan Weens. I think they're excited about the opportunity they see in front of them, these two. They know there's something special that's possible.
That
and you see the reaction. Yeah.
Two incredible athletes. These two are very naturally talented in diving. It just comes to them. They're wonderful. And you know what? They're good kids. And they're good adults, but they're kids. They're good kids.
You see the coaches showing their appreciation, and a lot of times you're going to get these guys shaking their head a little bit. Could have been better here, could have been better there. This looks like a couple of satisfied divers to me who feel like, yeah, that's what we came here to do.
Very satisfied. I'm very looking forward to seeing what they do next.
Yeah, they are very impressive, and their numbers will probably match right along with that. When the scores present themselves in just a moment, the final dive of the final round for the event leaders in the men's 10-meter synchro, the Canadian combination of Ryland Weens of Pike Lake, Saskatchewan, and Nathan Zombour-Murray of Pointe Claire, Quebec, getting set for a World Championship and a Commonwealth Games. And they're being made to wait here. A little bit of excitement building to see what kind of a score comes along with that effort. But always time to squeeze in a few tweaks, a few thoughts you can see technically there. The mind's still working even though the body's done the work. And they anxiously await what the judges have in store. Once again, when you're dealing with these synchronized events, talking about 11 judges in all, 3 for each diver, 5 for the synchronization.
Ryland and Nathan have a very, very strong list. They have very high DD. Ryland does do the back 2.5 somersault, 2.5 twist.
And interesting to me that these guys are battling it out for 10-meter supremacy in Canada. I mean, they're 1 and 2 in that particular event, and then they team together to do this, and you don't see any signs of guys who might be battling for bragging rights or honors. There doesn't seem to be a lot of ego.
No, there's not a lot of ego, and it's really great to see.
And look at those numbers now. They finally come up. The execution, sensational. The synchronization, very impressive. And it's 4:36 and change in the 10-meter synchro for these guys. And look at that, as they digest just what has come down from the judges.
They're very excited about this score.
Pretty special. So the Canadians start solid, finish brilliant, and have built themselves up a remarkable advantage here in the men's 10-meter synchro. 6th and final round. Maxwell Flory, Zachary Cooper of the United States. 3rd after the previous round. They're going to try and wrap it up in style with the forward 4.5 tuck.
I think it's great to finish on this dive because when done properly, it's insane. The crowd goes crazy. Not the perfect dive to finish, but really not that bad. Such high DD, such a difficult dive. It's really important that they squeeze that tuck because the more they rotate, the more their legs get further away from them. Overall, a really great job from them.
3.7 degree of difficulty on that one for the Americans. And the numbers come in and pretty solid overall. You can see an execution, a little bit lower synchronization is there with numbers reaching 7. And so the Hurricanes with a strong showing there. We bump it along to Cutmore and Cathari from Great Britain. 2nd spot after the previous round. They're going to wrap it up with the same dive, forward 4.5. Tuck position, so we see this one back to back.
Not perfectly in sync in this 4.5. Just different takeoffs off the platform, spinning at different speeds. Probably won't see the best scores for the synchronization. Kyle having a bit of a better entry than Ben. See some feet apart.
You can see how it would rip a crowd out of its seats, though, if executed right on the last round with that speed coming off of the platform. And there's the final number for the duo from Great Britain, who will slide into that 2nd spot just ahead of Maxwell Flory and Zachary Cooper. As we continue in the 6th and last round of the men's 10-meter synchro. Just a reminder, the women's 3-meter synchro final coming up, followed by individual finals on the men's springboard and the women's platform. Day 1 of the finals here at the Canada Cup in Calgary. Sosa and Pereira to wrap it up with a back 2.5 twists, pike position.
Like we spoke about, a difficult dive. 2.5 somersault, 2.5 twist, a lot of power and brain power needed to execute this dive. Really nice synchronization. Just a bit of splash on the bottoms.
I think there's a level of enthusiasm for this Brazilian duo because they know that there's a little bit of room to improve there that will take them to a different level. They've got a lot in place, and you think with a little bit of growth and a few more reps, we'll see some good strides there.
I agree with that.
Tessier and Cullen, the final dive of this competition. They sat in 4th after round number 5. And they're wrapping it up with the back 2.5, twist and a half pike position.
I'm very happy for them. That is really, really great way to finish off an event. Their first synchro event together.
Well, and remember that in the previous round, Matt Cullen wasn't very pleased with what he did, and I think showed a lot of mental skill there to come out, put that away, and turn in something like this to close it out.
We've got 2 incredible men's platform synchro teams on the go right now.
Think about the duo of Zombour, Murray, and Wiens, with Wiens being the old-timer at 20, and Tessier at 17, the senior of the 2 in this combination. Good signs for Canadian 10-meter men's synchro moving forward. Smile on the face there. And they're, I think, trying to convince Matt to have a little bit of fun. You've done a good job. Enjoy yourself, young man. Loosen up a little bit. See
It's
Mitch
done.
Geller over there celebrating with them. He dives every dive with all the Canadian divers over here. You can tell
Sure does.
the emotion as he guides the group through it. There's the win for Zombour Murray and Ryland Wiens, and convincingly so. The Great Britain duo of Cutmore and Cathari in 2nd spot. We talked about Kyle coming back from his Achilles problems, and boy, he's got to put to rest a lot of demons by coming back here and turning in a strong showing. And so those are your final standings in the men's 10-meter synchro competition. What a lot of fun that was, following up the mixed event. And now we're getting set for the 3-meter synchro coming up just around the corner. So a great start to the day, Courtney, and we look forward to the women's 3-meter synchro competition coming up 10 minutes before 3 o'clock Mountain Time here in Calgary. Look forward to sharing that with you and just a little bit later on. Take care. I'll just ask you a couple in English, but I'll ask that you answer. Okay. I know it's weird when the person asks in English.
No, it's just my French isn't super strong, but.
All right, with the 10-meter synchro champs.
You have the mic, you're good?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1.
With 10-meter synchro champs, Nathan Zombor-Murray and Rylan Weens. Congratulations, gentlemen. And it started on the right note and seemed to build from there. Your inward was a great way to get going.
Yeah, I think we like to start with inward because it gives us a bit of competition. For the both of us, it tends to be one of our stronger dives, so it's a good confidence boost.
Speaking of confidence, you guys seem to have all kinds of confidence together, even though you haven't had that much work together in this type of a setting.
Yeah, it was our first competition together ever, actually. We did, well, 3 days of training pretty much before this, and then sent it right up there. And, you know, just the confidence of knowing that we're both very good divers individually, and then just to be able to go at the same time is a trick.
It's funny, I asked you about the start because it was so good, but the end was just as good, and you guys seem pleased with it. It takes a lot to satisfy you two. What did you like about that last dive?
I mean, it was a little off with the synchro, but other than that, I mean, the entries are super solid on both of our parts, so I'm pretty happy with the way it went.
You two have been competing for a long time individually. Now you're getting a chance to work together. Had you imagined what it might be like to team up?
Honestly, this is what I imagined. Just having a lot of fun and going out and doing our best.
I guess you came close to getting together in Tokyo, but thankfully Vincent was able to recover and get his farewell to the Olympics in a good way. But here you are now as a team, and what does it mean to you to have this opportunity to build towards Paris?
Like I said at the beginning, it's definitely a confidence boost having a partner to be able to dive with. You know, after Vince retired, we've definitely fantasized a bit about our pairing. Just at the Olympics, we gave it a test run, and it was kind of exciting doing the 109 synchro. And that was sort of the big thing at this competition was doing the 109, and we'd done it in practice, and we'd done it before for 10s. And I guess that's what we were sort of hoping for. But I think both of us were thinking about it on the 10 meter, and I guess the nerves got the best of us. But you know, there's plenty of time to get it down.
All kinds of time to sort that out. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So you get a chance to work together for the first time on the international stage. It comes together very nicely. What did it mean to you to have this start?
Ouais, j'étais super heureux de comment c'est allé. Après les Olympiques avec mon partenaire de synchro Vincent Riondo, on était excités de continuer et d'essayer notre synchro pour les prochaines 2 années jusqu'à Paris. Donc c'est très important pour moi d'être capable d'essayer avec Rylan et que aussi ça t'est allé bien.
So when you get a chance to come together like this, is there anything that you work on specifically, or are you just trying to get used to being in this environment together?
Cette compétition, c'était vraiment la pratique. C'était pas super important parce que ça qualifie pas pour, ça ne qualifie pour rien. Donc c'était vraiment la pratique. Donc on a essayé juste de faire le synchro, pratiquer, être, comment tu dis, de sentir comment ça sent une compétition, pour qu'on soit plus prêt pour la prochaine au monde.
Merci beaucoup.
Merci.
Thanks, guys.
I called you Stinky.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are moments away from the victory ceremony medal presentation for the 3-meter mixed synchro as well as the men's 10-meter synchro victory ceremony very shortly. We are just repositioning our broadcast cameras, and then we will get underway with the victory ceremony for the mixed 3-meter synchro and the men's 10-meter synchro events. We are just moments away from the victory ceremony.